Okay, we're about to start. Not everybody's joined, but we don't want to delay too long because we have a lot of slides to get through. So welcome everyone to the hiSpace launch webinar. We're going to go through a few topics. Sorry, I'm just getting my, can I use a button? Yeah, can I? Cannot. Okay, got to use the mouse. So we'll start by covering a few of the basics and positioning information about the new product. We'll talk a little bit about engaging customers. We'll talk about 9 base applications that we're using as our thought starters. Cameras will talk about features of the product. We'll cover some tips and tricks. The product has lots of features and options, so tips and tricks are important. Rachel will talk a little bit about our materials and what's available. And then we'll go to questions at the end. We're going to keep 15 minutes for questions. Please, at any time, put your questions in the notes and we'll come back to them at the end. Okay. So an image of the new product. I'm not sure how many people have seen that before. Hopefully it's good and interesting for you. Let's get started. So a little bit of background, what we were experiencing with the existing product. Everybody's used to our current product that we're calling hiSpace right now. The new product, for a differentiation point of view, we're calling it hiSpace Worldwide. The legacy product will go away over time. So in order to be not confusing, the new product we're calling hiSpace Worldwide. So what we're hearing that the design and finish aesthetics were behind our competitors. So I think our product came out of the gate strong, original hiSpace, but our competitors caught up quickly and jumped a little bit in front of us on design and aesthetic. Our product had very limited application options. Product was quite mono-positioned. Mono-positioned as in you couldn't really dial it up or dial it down. And from a pricing point of view and a functionality point of view, and you couldn't really dial it up or dial it down from an aesthetic point of view. Previous product had limited electric options and cabling solutions. So one of the primary focuses of the new product, and in fact was really probably the #1 thought starter for the new product, was to make sure we thought about use cases and electrical and cabling solutions for the use cases first. We'd seen last year price and margin compression, so the new product's addressing that. Also very limited screen options. We only had 1 screen, frame screen, we would call that casual screen, and very limited accessories. First version hiSpace was really designed around double-sided product, and HAT and HAB single-sided were really an afterthought. So we experienced lots of issues trying to make HAB single-sided work when customers asked for that. Of course, on a given floor plate, up to 20% of the workstations are single-sided. So we made sure that we designed HAB double-sided, single-sided, and also HAT are all designed together at the same time. We're also hearing that competitive mechanisms were better from a stability point of view, anti-collision point of view, and general quality point of view. So primary driving factor here was to improve all of those. So the outcome was really a new product, a completely new product. And it was a global collaboration. So we put together a team that consisted of about 20 people in Toronto, 2 or 3 people in London, and cameras, I guess it was probably 4 or 5 people working in Malaysia on the product. So the product was really driven out of Asia requirements, but it's going to be adopted or will be adopted globally. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So an image for you to look at. What are you seeing here? You're seeing a new strut. So the new strut is one of the key design features. That's where the work surfaces meets the column. So we have all new componentry, tool componentry, die casting, and so forth. So really designed to soften the product and lighten the aesthetic. You'll see here on this image a lower height screen. This is a solid screen, although it's the side on view, I'm sure it's hard to see, but I'm just trying to emphasize what's standing out here. And obviously desk mount power. Moving on. So a summary of what you're seeing: improved overall design, softened and less utilitarian, added spine tray options, and we'll come to that in more detail because it's one of the key design features. We have 4 spine tray options now instead of 1. More screen options, there's 4 screen options instead of 1. A lot of new components. You can see the bag drop, a new flip up, new cable trays, new whiteboard, many new components. In fact, it's all new componentry. Next is gable options. So I think there's camera 3 gable options, solid, felt and painted. We made sure that, particularly for India scenario, that we were careful to make sure cabling solutions are well thought out in the beginning. So this includes hardwired cabling. So double-sided, both single-sided and double-sided bench have the same specifications. So we mentioned before that the products were designed together. Recently in North America, they released a new version of hiSpace. They called it Quick Connect. This product is using the same Quick Connect mechanism also. So I think that was a key feature that people were asking for. So yes, the new product is Quick Connect. So the new positioning of the product is a little bit about alignment. So we're trying to align design, features, function, which equates to cost effectiveness. So what we mean by that is being able to mix combinations of design aesthetic and features and functions will allow us to hit different price points. We want conversations to start with the unique design options and feature options. Previous product was becoming a little bit mono positioned, so there wasn't easy to start conversations with customers. So I think a goal in engaging the A&D community here should be to focus on the design features as a way of getting us specified or really being the spec on the tender. In the past 6 months, we've probably been following the tender spec. So I think that we're offering enough component combinations and design combinations here for us to be driving the specification. So when we talk about positioning, we talk about obviously price and discrimination. Discrimination is really a combination of what's the feature set and what's the design of the product. So if we're doing a good job, we balance price against discrimination. So you would see the diagonal line, if a product was well positioned, the price and the discrimination would be on the line. So original hiSpace recently has really fallen below the line a little bit, which indicates to us that the price is slightly high for discrimination that we're seeing. If you look at Navigate, trying to make sure that we're understanding where Navigate positions against hiSpace. Navigate tends to be a little bit higher feature set and obviously higher price. I think that Cerebro, when it's combined with Navigate, is probably slightly above the line from a discrimination and features point of view, given the price. So it's more of a correctly positioned product now. So new hiSpace is designed to be fairly wide ranging from a discrimination point of view. So it covers a fair high range on the discrimination scale, and it covers a fair range on the price scale. So this is the combinations of design and function. So if you were to compare original hiSpace with a dialed down version of hiSpace Worldwide, we can achieve about a 15 or 20% price reduction to customer. If you were to dial it up, it goes up between 10 and 15%. Dialing it up is adding features like infinity screen, more accessories, bag drop, those kind of things. So the original hiSpace, approximately, depending on which market, it varies around the region, was pricing out at around 620. So I can hear the calculators now, people working out what's 80% of 620. I'll let you work that out later. Maybe ask Logan's team to help. So we also took a close look at where our competitors are right now. Miller and Steelcase Tier 1 products tend to be the imported products. It's like migration, element ratio. Sorry, I've got that back to front. The Tier 1 products are like Ology and Atlas from Miller and Steelcase. The Tier 2 products are probably like migration, element ratio. So we're really competing or planning to compete with the Tier 2 products that we're seeing mostly specified in the region. So hiSpace worldwide target positioning is to sell 10% below original hiSpace. So this is a real key design goal or key planning goal. So for the same specification or similar specification, the new product should be 10% lower for customers. But of course, we managed to work hard on the product cost, and our margins increase significantly at that price. So not only should the product be cheaper for our customers, it will be better for us from a margin point of view. So we shouldn't focus too much on cost with the new product. We need to focus a little bit more on the component combinations. So use the new component combinations to further influence customer buy price. This is dialing it up and dialing it down. Overall, for a similar buy price, you will be reducing the discount, which equates to increasing the margin. So, and I guess the most important point here, or one of the most important points, is that the product is more interesting, or will be more interesting to the A&D community. It has many more design features, many more functional features, and is obviously designed from ground up. So availability, the product will be available for specifying February 22nd for Asia. This equates to a first order entry based on our inventory buildup that's happening now. It looks like first week of March to accept orders. As the product, as I mentioned, the product is worldwide, so first week of March is the target for Europe specifying, and right now it's in the North America launch plan for September. So I'm going to pass it to Seifel, who's going to talk a little bit about engaging customer conversations. So over to you, Seifel.
All right, thanks, Steph. So let's say you are with a customer who is interested with height adjustable solutions. You could be out for a lunch appointment or at your showroom for a customer visit. Before you present your brochure or talk about the showroom samples, we highly suggest that you spend just a minute to go over the simple engagement exercise. So using your iPad, Zone's easel, or a nearby napkin, draw this simple diagram. Draw two axes. At the bottom, write functionality. On the side, write aesthetics. Then you ask your customer, what is more important for you? Is it the aesthetics or functionality? Wait for the answer. If he or she answers functionality, then put X somewhere here at the bottom right-hand side of the diagram. If he or she answers aesthetic, place an X somewhere here on the top left-hand side of the diagram. If the answer is both, place an X somewhere in the middle. Then you ask the second question. Are the users of this solution more mobile? Do they move around a lot, like nomadic workers? Do they tend to be more collaborative? If the answer is yes, then adjust the X to the left. Indicate to them that these sort of users often don't stay long at the same place. That in turn makes the probable solution slightly less in terms of functionality. Perhaps a solution with less privacy screens or cabling options. So after that, ask a customer another question. Does the user of the solution deal with external customers? Are they client-facing? Or will they work out in common areas which are accessible by their own customers? Wait for the answer. If the answer is yes, then you want to move the X upwards. Higher on aesthetics. The probable solution might have a higher design, look and feel, or aesthetics to it. So perhaps the possible solution has more refined fabric, laminate options, and colors. So in the end, look at the framework we have provided in the brochure and look where the X would land. Press right, Rachel. In this example, the X lands somewhere here, highlighted with the orange applications. So once you have that, you can now quickly flip through the brochure showing those applications. It could be this one. Or if you are in the showroom, you can start talking about this balanced option. As you are aware by now, the showroom samples that are coming to you were purposely designed to support this exercise. So you can talk about the different dial up or dial down options. So remember, guys, engaging is always better than presenting. So give this exercise a try. I'm excited to hear how it goes. So let me know any feedback or comments that you hear. Thanks so much.
Okay, back to me. So talking about the 9 applications that Cycle highlighted, when we started designing the product and really talking about what the product solution would look like with the design team in Toronto, we really identified the 9 applications or the 9 base applications. So this helped us think about use cases and how the components would relate to the use cases. What type of cable trays are required, what type of accessories are required, what type of screens are required. So that's really why we're trying to emphasize the 9 applications as a conversation starting point. So I'm going to dive just a little bit into the applications. This is a little bit more about trying to highlight some of the functions and features of the product so that you get a little bit of an understanding of how it might vary. So I'm going to talk about the 3 primary or core applications. So application number 1 is, I think of as being basic. So this is basic functionality and basic aesthetics. This might be a nomadic worker that's in and out of the office a lot, maybe unassigned desk. So what do you notice here? You notice the new strut design. You notice a new bag drop. You notice a new solid screen. I think I mentioned that right in the beginning. So things that are not obvious, easily obvious here is different spine tray, low capacity spine tray, tabletop mount electrics, low capacity E-chain, more than 1 capacity E-chain, whiteboard, and so forth. So looking at the more balanced solution, I would say that this balanced solution is probably closest to the existing mono position product. So this is quite close to hiSpace as we know it today. So what do you see here? You see a screen with no gap. This is quite new. The old product, obviously, the screens had gaps. You see a new cable riser. You see a beveled screen, which is a new screen. You see a new whiteboard. And you see that the spine trays are actually different. So the center spine tray is medium capacity spine tray because it needs to carry more power and potentially a power outlet. But the end spine trays are low capacity spine trays, which are really just meant for distributing power. So dialing it up to the max, we get to more of a higher end solution. I'm not sure this is a word you would use in front of a customer. But here you can see corridor screen. Corridor screen can be laminate or beveled screen or frame screen. You can see infinity screen, which is really a dialed up option. So the screen goes up and down with the work surface. Infinity screen, as you know it, is attached to the back of the work surface. So here you can also see a high capacity cable tray. It's a little bit hard to see, but the cable tray is sized appropriately for the solution. A key design feature of the cable trays, medium capacity and high capacity cable tray, is it has a felt cover or PET cover, which allows designers to have more influence on the look and feel of the product. So there's a couple more extremes. So what if you take it in the other direction? So this is higher aesthetic and lower functionality. So this might be a designer who comes to the office, really just needs to sit down and think, doesn't need a high level of connectivity, just plugs into the desk mount power and doesn't really need to have much else plugged in. So I think the highlight here is no spine tray. So in order to distribute power, there's some scenarios where you don't need to pass through the workstation. So this is a key design feature whereby we can actually use a cluster of 4, for example, we only need 1 spine tray or potentially 0 spine trays. The old product couldn't do this. The old product was structurally around the spine tray. So here you're seeing the frame screen. Today we call that casual screen on other product. To be compatible with global terminology, we now call it frame screen. You can also see the felt gable. Quite often you'll hear us talk about PET, but globally we talk about felt. So the word is interchangeable. Also you can see the components with accent colors, the zones lamp and is that center lamp or zones lamp? I think it's zones lamp and the bag drop. So dialing it down the other way, this is high functionality, maybe lower aesthetic. This is where somebody really needs lots of power, lots of distribution. You can see the center spine screen is high capacity. The side spine screen is medium capacity. The screen is laminate, which is actually quite good looking option and low cost alternative. So the key things to see here is the high capacity E-chain, both desktop power and flip up power. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's also a felt cable dump underneath there. So the felt cable dump is there to manage cables basically. So we covered 5 of the 9. I think about the other 4 are a little bit about balancing aesthetics and balancing functionality. So I think that's a good way for you to think about it when you're discussing with customers. So these two, A2F1, A2F3, that's really about balancing aesthetics and obviously balancing functionality. So I'm not going to deep dive too much what they are, but I think the important point here is we designed the solution in the beginning. So we thought very carefully about what does that mean from a component combination point of view. So this is balanced functionality and dialed down aesthetic. This one's balanced aesthetic, dialed up functionality. You get the drift, right? Dialed up aesthetic, balanced functionality. Balanced aesthetic, balanced functionality. I'm sorry, balanced, what is this one? Balanced aesthetic and dialed down functionality. I was on a different slide. So as I mentioned, the key point here is we planned these extreme solutions during development so that we can cover most or all customer scenarios without having to start with a special. We wanted to start with a solution. So when you're speaking to a customer in a showroom or so forth, you can talk about the solution straight away. You don't have to go designing a special or what the solution might look like. You can ask customers what they want based on the framework that Seifel shared with you and be able to zero in on a solution. So the new product has broad aesthetic possibilities and component combinations. So you can go well beyond these 9 base scenarios, but we're using those as the thought starters. Think as the base 9. as thought starters, and you'll see them carry over into PPG and other documentation. So going to pass it to Kamaraj, who's going to talk about features a little bit.
Okay, let me cover on the features. Okay, now let's look at the first features, which is the spine tray options. So basically for this hiSpace worldwide, we have 4 types of different spine trays. So the first one is the low capacity spine tray. It has the capability for wire to pass through, but it doesn't allow us to mount any power box inside it. And the second one below is actually the medium capacity spine tray, which actually allows for wire to pass through, and same time you can have the ability to support power bar. And this medium capacity powered spine tray is actually meant for socket which has the horizontal wire outlet similar to the British plugs. The third one is the high capacity spine tray, which is actually can be used to run cables and also able to support power bar and to be used for hard wiring. And same time, this high capacity power spine tray is also meant for switch which has the vertical power with vertical socket similar to the India plug or the Shuko plug. And the last one is the no spine tray. So basically, if you do not have a requirement for a wire to pass through or any power bar option, then you can actually choose this option not to have a spine tray. Okay, now let's look at the e-chain and the power delivery options. So as for the hiSpace worldwide, it comes with the 2 options of e-chains. The first one is the low capacity e-chain, which is similar to the hiSpace one. And the second one is the high capacity e-chain, which is similar to the hiSpace 2. And as for the flip up, we have actually introduced a new Technion owned soft close flip up with brush. It comes in 2 sizes, which is the 400 mm and 600 mm options. And the third image actually shows the Netbox Smart, which is the most suitable power option for this high adjustable system, whereby this Netbox you can actually purchase it from the complement PPG. Right? And then the last one is the grommet. So the grommet is actually same with the previous hiSpace, which is the expansion grommet. So if you have used this grommet, then you know this grommet has the ability to mount the swerve monitor arms. Okay, now let's look at the gables and the end run screens. So as for the gables, we have 3 options. So the first one is the metal, the laminate, and the felt gable for the outer. The inner of this gable is always comes in metal. Okay, and then the next one is the end run screens. So basically the end run screen is screen specified at the end of the workstation perpendicular for privacy purpose, especially if you're going to have this workstation set up at the aisleway. So if you need a separation, then you can actually specify this end run screen. So this end run screen, we have 3 types, which is the bevel screen, the frame, and the solid. Okay. Now lastly, let's look at the screen options. So for hiSpace worldwide, we have actually introduced 4 types of screens: the bevel screen, the infinity screen, the frame screen, and the solid screen. So the bevel screen, the frame screen, and the solid screen is actually mounted to the structure, whereby the infinity screen is actually mounted to the work surface. So the screen will actually go up and down, follows the work surface. Okay? And then out of these 4 screens, the frame screen is the only screen which has the stackable option. And the screens comes in a 2 datum height, which is 1100 and 1300, and with option of gap and no gap. Okay, let me quickly run through how the cabling works. Okay, so whenever you have the workstation without the spine tray, you can actually run the cable up from the wire riser up to the e-chain, which goes up to the work surface. So if you have the option of a low capacity spine tray, you can actually, similar to the earlier one, you can actually bring the cable up through wire riser, and it runs through the low capacity spine tray up to the E-chain. And this is the one with the medium capacity spine tray. Similar to the earlier, the cable still goes up through the wire riser and runs through the medium capacity spine tray to the power box, and from the power box runs across to the E-chain and up to the work surface. And the last one is the high capacity spine tray. It's actually more or less similar to the medium capacity spine tray, which actually goes up the wire riser, goes into the high capacity spine tray to the power bar, and from the power bar goes across to the E-chain and up to the work surface. Okay, now let's look at the finishes that we actually offer for this hiSpace Worldwide. Okay, these are some of the examples that we actually have for this hiSpace Worldwide. So basically, you can specify all the Asia Pacific source and foundation laminate. And secondly, the structure and the metal part only comes in two colors, which is the very white and ebony. And if you can see, there are also some accent color options, which is actually meant for the accessories such as the backdrops, the end gables, and the flip-up badge, whereby you have the option to choose the screens. You are allowed to choose all the loom fabrics. It actually shows the newly introduced smooth felt. We actually offer in two finishes. The light gray is actually called pewter, and the darker textured black is actually called Luna. Okay, now let's go to the ergonomic standards. Okay, the new hiSpace Worldwide column actually complies to ANSI BIFMA standard heights, which brings the lowest height to 574 mm and the highest to 1,237 mm. This measurement is from the floor up to above of the work surface. Okay, I think I've covered my part. I'll pass back the slides to Steph.
Okay, I'm trying to preempt all of the questions by giving you some tips and tricks to begin with. One of the tips and tricks I didn't include here was maybe not a tip, but more of a conversation point, which is around the bag drop. You know, when we talk about height adjustability and best practice, we would normally talk about bag drop and combining that with some sort of storage away from the workstation, which is normally lockers. So we should always focus on the bag drop and combination of lockers in the workplace. We shouldn't normally talk about pedestals with height adjustable. So please focus on bag drop. So to the tips and tricks, you know, this is a much larger product map, more options, more features, more combinations. There's some rules about combinations of components. So more so than ever, it's really important that everybody studies the PPG and goes through the Propel training and other training that will be provided over the next few weeks. So hiSpace Worldwide is not compatible with the previous versions. You can't mix. The column is different. Every single component is different. The only similarity is the same size column. So it's, what is it, 75 by 75? 70 by 70. Cameron's mentioned the new standard ANSI BIFMA range. This is a different range. It's the new ANSI BIFMA range. Standard pedestals do not fit. We have a solution for pedestals, but as I mentioned, this should not be a primary selling point to customers, because from a good practice point of view, it's not a good solution. We will offer a standard special pedestal that does fit underneath. The practicality of that is questionable. Work surfaces right now can be between 700 and 800 millimeters deep. If you need sizes outside of that, it becomes a very complex special and may exclude some componentry. So for the time being, there's only 2 work surface depths, 700 millimeters and 800 millimeters. The normal widths that you're used to apply, 1200 to 1800. So HAB single-sided and double-sided components should not mix. This is not a hard, fast rule. The rule here is to make sure that we don't make a specification error. So if you specify a single-sided work surface, although aesthetically and size-wise it's the same as a double-sided work surface, the location of the fixing holes is different. So generally speaking, we are discouraging everybody from mixing single-sided HAB with double-sided HAB components. So 2 screen height datums, 1100 and 1300. I think we're keeping 1300 really as a result of COVID type discussions. The new product has a lot more screen options that will assist with the COVID discussions. Important point here is with gap, without gap. This has to be specified during quoting. So only 1 switch option. We've only been selling 1 switch option. We decided to only offer 1 switch option. It's important to note that although sometimes we install the switches so that they slide in and out, in fact, the switch should not be sliding. It's important to tell customers that the switch is not sliding, and when we install product in showrooms and customer sites, it should not be sliding. So, cameras mentioned, infinity screens are work surface mount. When you're specifying infinity screens, it means that the brackets that mount the spine screen are not required. This leaves an uncovered screw hole with a fastener inside. So we provided a component, which is a branded component with Technion logo on there. It's called Universal Spine Tray Cover. So this can cover up those exposed components. So it's used in 2 scenarios, one where there's no spine tray and one where there's infinity screen, so no spine screen. Infinity screens mount on the edge of the work surface, so there's no gap for cables to go down between the infinity screen and the work surface. Cables for infinity screens need to go through grommet or flip up cableway. Cameras mentioned the type of power plug used may influence the spine screen selection. So this is why you need to understand the PPG well. If it's a side entry plug, similar to a UK GB plug, then you can always use the medium capacity spine screen. But if you have a top entry plug, like maybe China, Australia, or a few other locations, Shuko, right? That uses much more space in the cable tray, so you have to make sure you specify the right cable tray. You thought that was the end of it. So the felt cable dump is ordered separately, it's not standard. So because of the options of cabling, we have a few options of how to use the associated components. So when connecting adjacent frames together, you always use a base link to join. So this is always specified whether or not a cable riser is required at that location. So every intersection of panels needs a base link. At some of those intersections, you need a cable riser. So if there's an intersection that does not have a cable riser, you need to specify a wire bridge so that the cables are not hanging loosely as they pass from workstation to workstation. This is really just a way to clean up the power cables and make sure that they're held properly. So in some markets, like India, for example, we need to make sure that there's no exposed cabling in any way. So there's also an optional wire cover that can be used to cover exposed cables. So please understand these 3 components or 4 components that are used at when linking frames together. So when there's no spine tray, obviously the E-chain needs to be still in place. So there needs to be a small bracket cover for the E-chain to be specified. So when we specify no spine tray, we need to add in the E-chain bracket cover. So no spine tray solution obviously is a significant cost-saving method. So Cameron's mentioned inside of gables is always painted. So the outside is the finish you select. The inside is always default paint. Cameron's right. The gables have integrated cableways on the inside of the steel side, so that you can get cables up and through the gables and into the spine trays. So that's a cable riser alternative. So if you want to put a power box in a spine tray, you need to specify power bar holders separately. So there's no default componentry to fasten the power bars in spine trays. You need to order the hardware separately to allow them to be mounted in the spine tray. So there's many components that have to work together on a work surface. We have flip up, we have grommets, we have brackets for cable trays and so forth, infinity screen and so forth. So we spend a lot of time manipulating component sizes and component locations so that they fit together. It's not easy for us to move those things around. So I'm highlighting here that if you need to play with custom sizes or locations of grommets or flip ups, then it becomes a complex special. So that's really it for tips and tricks. I thought I would just give a short update on what you're not seeing and what is planned for additions. So you're not seeing 120 degree, we will add it. You're not seeing a power pole, we'll add it as a phase 2. We want to implement more use of accent colors, but this has inventory impact. So we want to see the product success a little bit before we add accent colors. We plan to add some additional accessories, a name tag, a CPU holder, and a few other things that people have asked us to look at. The lateral screens that you see in the images and so forth are the existing lateral screens. We plan to introduce a new universal lateral screen in the next phase. There's already some questions about other finishes on spine trays, spine screen, maybe glass, maybe acrylic, those kind of things. We haven't looked at that yet. And lastly, we're getting a few customers asking about disconnected or not connected height adjustable cables. So we'll take a look at battery powered. So that's all I have right now. I'm going to pass it to Rachel, who will talk about lots of tools and things like that. Oh no, is this you? Yeah.
Okay, so we have a showroom program for hiSpace. We have designed 2 color combination settings for the showroom program. It's a setting that actually make up by the 3 core applications that we mentioned just now. Basic, balance, and high-end. The first settings is a warm and exclusive color that make up by ebony and setting like the white and accent palm. This showroom program is only applicable for the direct showroom only. This slide summarizes the color combination settings, the selection by the direct showroom. A smaller showroom space will order a cluster of 4 that make up by the balance and high end. And for a bigger showroom, we'll order a full cluster of 6 settings. So what is next? Please reinforce your learning and update your dealership about this hiSpace Worldwide by completing the Propel course. The course will be assigned automatically to you, and you shall receive a notification through email from Propel that you have been enrolled in the course once it is available in on Propel. Then review the applications, understand more about the products by looking at the product imagery. The team has created few application renderings that make up by different functionality and aesthetic. You can find the image tag on the website under the image gallery on the product page. Then review the PPG or the product map to understand the offering, specifications, and pricing details. This is especially helpful when you want to know in details about the options and features. Of course, look at the website, as it is one of the main source of the product's collaterals that provide you with the overview, the price guide, the product map, the image, and etc. At the same time, you can arrange a showroom or virtual walkthrough with your clients to review the product. You can do this by placing a hiSpace mockup order at the showroom, or you can order a setting from marketing for the Technion Direct showroom. You can also conduct a Google Hangout call or webinar with your clients to introduce about this product. You can review the brochure together with your clients by showing the digital brochure. The brochure has been uploaded on the website. You can also leverage the indicative price guide, the IPG, to give an estimate custom purchase price to your clients. To specify hiSpace in opportunity, you can utilize the price guide and product map to get the specifications and pricing details. These two documents are especially helpful for the specifier. There is also an introduction video by Kamaraj to talk about the hiSpace, the product. You can quickly and easily understand the features of the products after you watch this short video. You can share the video to your clients too if you want. Then you can make your own proposal of the setting to your clients by doing the exercise with your clients, which Saiful presented, which Saiful showed just now. While doing all the things that we mentioned just now, marketing will continue to promote hiSpace in a region by update the website to reflect the latest and updated information about these products. We will also develop a digital marketing communication to send email blasting to your clients. We will also update the social media like Instagram about this launching of this new hiSpace. And Marcom will send to your dealers to inform them about the launching of this product. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you, and you are all set now. Now we have about 10 minutes time for the Q&A sessions. You can type your questions in the question bar.
Okay, we're bringing it up.
Okay, we saw a question from Heather. Can you have a felt screen options mounted to the frame?
Right now, Heather, no, you can't. You can use the loom fabric that looks like felt. I know that the casual screen we have done as a special felt, right? But right now it's not standard.
Then there is another question by Sri Kant. Would like to know about the single-sided application and how are screen and cable tray mounted?
Yeah, so the single-sided product has its own version of the spine tray and mounting methods. So the screens are different. The screens go lower on single-sided. So it's a unique set of components. So when you look at the product map, you'll see the product map separated into double-sided and single-sided. You'll see the screens and the spine trays for single-sided separated out.
Another question from Arundhati. without spy tray, is the stability same?
Yes, better than before.
Okay, good. Then from Heather, well, we offering specification training for dealers.
Yes, Heather, we can organise that or help you organise it. So we may need to work with Logan's team, but yes, we should organise specification training if it's required.
What storage alternative to propose? This is from Arundhati.
So the storage at the workstation should be the bag drop. If it's not the bag drop, it should be a pedestal. Although the pedestal is not a good solution because of the new anti-drift height, it goes low. So the pedestal functionality is questionable. But generally speaking, for height adjustable, there shouldn't be much storage at the workstation.
Is there an option to, is there an option to place the access flat to left hand or right hand side so the monitors are centered?
Sorry, just read.
Yeah, this question is from Heather.
Heather, you can, right now the option are, there's 3 locations of the grommet, or the center location can be switched out with the flip up. If you wanted to move the flip up to the side, we can. Right now it's not standard. As I mentioned earlier, it might interfere with some other components, so that would have to be tested carefully.
Is there a restricted height range options to include the pedestal?
No, at the moment we're not including pre-programmed height.
Another question from Arundhati. Is there a no screen option?
You can do no screen. Yes, it should be no problem.
Thank you. Another question from Heather. Is it one switch option worldwide or only Asia?
Worldwide.
Now I can see 2 questions from Santil. If new type, kindly share the technical specification with us. Okay.
So Central, the normal technical specifications will be available online.
Please confirm the late is KID or not.
So
Or new type.
So we're trying to be very careful about saying whose column it is, because we don't want customers to know whose column it is, but it is KID column.
Freestanding tables are available.
Yeah, HAT was designed at the same time. HAT will have the curved infinity screen available as well. HAT is available for specifying on the 22nd also.
Okay, 1 question from Minty. End gable covers, internal metal covers come with outer covers ordered or specified separately?
Not included. So you just specify the style of outer gable that you want, and you'll automatically get a metal inner gable cover that defaults to the frame color.
Does it offer anti-collision as standard?
Yes, it's a new anti-collision mechanism. One of the key design criteria was to improve the anti-collision mechanisms. So it's gyro sensor, right? It's a gyro sensor. It's much better than previous version.
Can we have a felt screen option mounted to the frame?
No, felt is not stiff enough to do screens that large. It's not possible.
One question from Shrikant. The bevel screen does not have the pin up option. What is this make up of?
No, the screens, there's 4 screens. Starting the lowest cost screen would be source laminate, solid screen we call that. The next option would be beveled screen. So those 2 screens are meant to be more basic options. Then moving up, if you need tackable, you specify the frame screen or infinity screen.
Okay, 1 more question from Satish. Would the single-sided cluster need to have continuous screen, or can it have gap between the screen?
Both is possible. No, sorry.
Double-sided, no gap.
Sorry, single-sided is always with no gap.
Okay, this is what we have for now.
Okay. Okay, so I think that's it for questions. Thank you, everyone. Please take some time to study the PPG, do the Propel training. We'll organise separate training for various groups for specifying and so forth. So, and that will happen over the next few weeks. You can start specifying as of 22nd of February.
Sorry, I think there are two more questions. One is from Satish, one is from Santil.
Okay.
The first one from Satish is, what is the distance between screen and the floor? Can we mount Modesty?
No, so for double-sided, there's no need for Modesty. For single-sided, the screen goes down to, I can't remember the height. It's about 300 or it's Modesty panel height.
Yeah.
So that the single-sided screen is designed to be a Modesty panel as well.
Okay, another one from Santil. There has been a demand for tackability on 18mm bevel fabric screen. Can we look at doing specials?
No, it's impossible. You have to use frame screen or infinity screen.
Okay, I think this is what we have for now, so far, what we can see from the question.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll end the webinar there. We look forward to seeing some specification of hiSpace worldwide. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.